Hi Doug, hi Shannon. My name is Dave Wheat and I'm the principal of Johnston Middle School. And I'm coming to you live from the Johnston Middle School auditorium. Shannon, I'm sure you can visualize where we are right now asking these questions. And it's such a great thrill for me to get to participate in this, and a great thrill for our kids from Parker and Westbury High School in Johnston. I want you to know, my question is personal, that your yearbook pictures from your middle school years are on display in the library right now. What is your reaction to that?
Man, that's some bad fashion we got going on there. That's my reaction to that. No, I think it's great. I think it's very exciting that Parker, Johnston, and Westbury have all come together because, as you know, those are the schools I attended in HISD before I went on to Rice University and then started working at NASA. So I think it's great, and we're really excited to be able to talk to you guys today.
David, I'd like to see those pictures.
Doug, you're welcome at Johnston Middle School. Anytime, I'll keep them in a special place in my office. They'll be right there for you when you get to Houston.
What does it mean to the students here to have Shannon Walker up on the space station talking to them today?
I think it's just a great motivation for the students to see that someone that went to the school they're at has made it this far and has followed her dreams, and it's kind of an inspiration to them to you know, see that it can happen. Students here at Johnston Middle School can become anything they want to become.
Fantastic. And this is a performing arts school, principally. Is it difficult getting those students interested in the visual and performing arts, you know, to take an interest in science and math?
No, you know, we have a lot of motivating and interesting science and math teachers that do everything we can to draw those students in, and really we don't have to do that much of that for them. They're interested, they're eager to learn, they're ready to go. So we just tap into that and keep them going forward.
Fantastic. And how excited are the students to be doing this today?
They're so excited. They've been waiting and waiting. We had a lottery for who could attend in the auditorium, and then all the other students will be watching in their classroom. And watching the students find their name on the lottery list and screaming in excitement was just exhilarating for me, so I know they're excited for it.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, we are ready for the event.
Johnston Middle School, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Amber Pinchback at Johnston Middle School here in Houston, Texas. How do you read me?
Amber, we read you loud and clear. Welcome aboard the International Space Station.
Good morning from Johnston Space Center. I'm here with students from Parker Elementary, Johnston Middle School, and Westbury High School. We are excited to learn from you this morning on this out-of-this-world experience. Let's get started with our first student question. On this out-of-this-world experience.
Hi, my name is Cindy Argueta. I'm an 8th grader at Johnston Middle School. My question is for Shannon Walker. Ms. Walker, how does being in space remind you of your childhood memories and dreams from looking up at the night sky?
You know, that's a very good question. I think what it reminds me the most of is when I was growing up, I used to have dreams about being able to fly. I would be running along, and then I would be running so fast that I could just take off and fly around my neighborhood. And so being up in space reminds me of that, because I do get to fly everywhere as opposed to walking around on the ground.
Hi, my name is Catherine Nyquist, and I'm in 5th grade at Parker Elementary. My question is for Doug Wheelock. Doug, what are some of the most important real-world discoveries and contributions that we have benefited from as a result of space exploration?
Wow, that's a very good question. Do we have a couple hours? Well, we've got. There are a tremendous number of things that we have learned and discovered through the space program. Much of it, when I was growing up in school, through the Apollo and the early programs when we were trying to put people on the moon. And probably the biggest things that I can think of are computing power and also cell phones. This is technology that's spun off from development of an engineering that was used in the development of spacecraft and space hardware. Also, our global positioning system that we have orbiting our planet to help us with communication. So probably everybody in that auditorium, wherever you are, you probably have a cell phone. And that's not something that I had when I was in school, and that's technology that really came about because of development through the space program and also computing. But some of the most exciting things for me now that we're doing here on the space station, we've actually got over 130 experiments going on here in the 4 laboratories that are on board, and we've got some wonderful experiments in the medical field, helping us to develop different ways to refine pharmaceuticals, ways of looking at transport of these pharmaceuticals in the bloodstream to be able to fight off diseases and cancers and things like that plague us as human beings on the Earth. And so we're looking into some of those things and how to develop new materials as well. The DeBakey heart is a spin-off that I know has come from the engineering in the space program and the development of small pumps that are used and that were spun off to the medical field. So we've got a tremendous amount of activity that we're trying to bring back to the planet to make our lives better. Another thing is just our Earth observation. We've got cameras, hyperspectral cameras that take different photographs of the Earth to look at drainage, at crop usage and things like that to better assist our farmers in when and how to plant crops and where are the best fields to lay fallow and also to plant for the next growing season. So it's a tremendous amount of opportunity and contributions that the space program has made to our life on Earth.
My name is Brianna Jennings, and I'm in the 9th grade at Westbury High School. My question is for Shannon Walker. What has been the most exhilarating experience in space this far?
Brianne, the answer is by far it's got to be my launch. I launched on a Russian Soyuz rocket out of Kazakhstan, and to feel the power of the engines when we first took off and to have us hurtling upwards towards space is the most exciting thing by far that I've done as part of this. Living on the space station is great. It's very interesting every day is bring something new, but for just sheer excitement, the launch was it. And I suspect the landing going home is going to be the same way.
My name is Amir Basso. I'm a 7th grader at Johnston Middle School. My question is for Doug Wheelock. Doug, what happens to the system on the space station break down, and how do you fix them?
Lots of tools.
Oh, that's a great question. Because we had a big breakdown, if you remember, just a couple of months ago. We had a pump module fail outside, and we had to kind of put all of our creative thinking together with our both up here on the space station and with our ground support teams in Houston, and we have a lot of tools. We also have a lot of clear, creative minds that are thinking and helping us work through these problems on the ground. So we take a look at the problem and see what lies ahead, and then look for potential solutions, and then grab what tools we need and get to work.
Hello, my name is Christian Garcia. I'm a negro at Johnston Middle School. My question is for Shannon Walker. Ms. Walker, if there is no gravity in space, how will you generate enough force to exercise your muscles?
That's an excellent question. We do it in a couple of different ways. We have 3 main exercise devices that we have on the station. One is an exercise bike, and much like the racing bikes, our feet are strapped to the pedals so that we are staying on the bike while we're pedaling it to exercise our legs. We have a treadmill that we use, and we actually have a harness that goes over our shoulders and around our waist that straps us down to the treadmill so that we stay on the treadmill, and we can actually adjust the amount of force with which we are touching the treadmill to exercise our body. And the last thing we do is essentially lift weights in space. We have what we call a resistive exercise device. It's kind of like one of those solo flexes or something, except we use evacuated cylinders instead of big rubber bands to create resistance that we push against and pull against to exercise our muscles.
Hi, my name is Grace Mitchell, and I am in the 5th grade at Parker Elementary School. My question is for Doug. Doug, what advice would you give young people today about the importance of pursuing science and the future of space exploration?
Well, that's the $64,000 question today is what I would encourage you to do. Actually, the biggest advice I would give you if you are interested in the science field is to just don't be afraid of science. Science is fun, and science and engineering and things like this are about solving problems and discovering new things. And so sometimes that unknown of an unsolved problem or an unknown discovery as of yet can cause some anxiety and cause people not to study math and science. And so my encouragement to you would be to develop that love for math and science and pursue your dream, whether it's in math, science, engineering. We would love to have you come work with us at NASA and do something you love. And because if you're doing something you love, you're bound to be very good at it. And then just do your best and study hard, and the sky's no longer the limit. You can reach for the stars.
Hi, my name is Daniel Marks, and I am a freshman at Westbury High School, and my question is for Shannon Walker. Shannon, what was your major in college, and how did it help you become an astronaut?
Daniel, my major in college was physics, which I realize is kind of a daunting topic for a lot of people, but physics is really the basics for everything that you do in math, science, and engineering, except for math, of course. But so I use physics every day up here, not the least of which is when I'm moving around. Of course, one of Einstein's equations, F equals ma, so whenever we push off, we keep going. A second law of body in motion stays in motion until something stops it. So when we move, we keep going until we stop ourselves somehow or we run into a wall. So we definitely use physics every day up here.
Hello, my name is Esmeralda Fuentes. I'm an 8th grader at Johnston Middle School. My question is for Doug Wheelock. Doug, how do you conduct experiments in zero gravity if the experiment includes the use of liquids?
You have to be very careful. You really do. We do have experiments that are up here that are using liquid. In fact, we have a Marangoni experiment that's actually creating a bridge that's actually a liquid bridge, and we're looking at the transport of material like energy through this bridge. And so we actually have to be very, very careful. We have isolation systems on our racks that keep from any vibrations. We try not to touch the experiment racks to create any kind of jostling or anything like that. And so when we have microgravity, we try to have a period of what's called quiescence, where we try not to fire the thrusters on the space station. We use only the momentum wheels, so it's a very, very smooth ride, and we try to keep our hands from touching or pushing off of the experiments. So we have to be very careful. But liquid, when it's in space, actually sort of tends to coalesce together into like a big ball. So when it's together, it actually wants to stay together until somebody pushes against it. So that's why we try to keep our hands off the experiments, but while they're operating. But it's a great question. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kenyatta Collins, and I'm an 8th grader at Johnston Middle School. And my question is for Shannon Walker. Ms. Walker, what is it like to launch on a Soyuz rocket?
It is absolutely fantastic. It is truly exciting when we're sitting there on the launch pad waiting to go. We're watching the clock count down to our launch time, and then all of a sudden, shortly before it launches, you can hear all the valves and you can feel the valves moving in the rocket. getting ready, getting the fuel to the locations it needs to go, and then all of a sudden the engines light, and you feel this great force pushing you off the Earth, and you're going faster and faster and faster, and a very short 8.5 minutes later you're in space, and it is just the most wonderful ride anybody can have.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Flores. I'm a 9th grader at Westbury High School, and my question is to Doug Wheelock. Doug, how did you stay determined throughout every obstacle you faced on the journey to becoming an astronaut?
Well, gosh, I think it's just determination and belief in yourself and belief in your dreams, and it can get you through anything. You know, regardless of whether you're studying to be an astronaut, or if you want to be a teacher or a doctor or whatever it might be, you're going to face obstacles, and you can look at them. And the way I've approached the obstacles that I've faced, we're all going to run into problems. Some of our problems are different than other folks' problems, but you can look at it two ways: either come up with a solution, or let the problem take over steal your dreams from you. And I don't like that second option. I'd rather look for a solution to the problem, and you have resources, your training, your schooling, and you have people around you that would help you. And hopefully for that, in that realm, your teachers are your friends, your parents. There are people that want to help you pursue your goals and dreams as well. So I would say just stay focused on what your goals are, and stay determined and believe in yourself.
Hi, my name is Jared Suprin, and I'm in the 5th grade at Parker Elementary School. My question is for Shannon Walker. What challenges do you face as a female astronaut?
You know, that's a very interesting question, and as I think back over my career that I've had, I've worked at NASA for over 20 years. I really can't think of one thing or any particular challenge I faced as being a female. The jobs are open to everyone. So much of what we do depends on your brain and not your physical size, and so that doesn't really matter too much. I will say that preparing for a spacewalk is difficult for me because it does take a lot of physical strength, but that's not something that I can't do because I'm female. I just have to work a little bit harder at it. So in particular, I don't think I've faced any major challenges being female.
Hi, my name is Marquise Walker, and I'm a 7th grader at Johnston Middle School. My question is for Doug Wheelock. Doug, how often do you go on a spacewalk, and how long are you outside the station?
Well, that's a good question. We don't go very often, but we had this part that broke a couple of months ago, and we had to do 3 spacewalks, and we did 3 spacewalks in the span of about 10 or 12 days, and so. It's a lot of hard work. Physically, it's a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of planning. And when we were outside on our first spacewalk, it was actually for a little over 8 hours outside, and it was the longest spacewalk in ISS space station history. So it was pretty long, and it's a long time to go without food and without a chance to really kind of relax and everything. You have to kind of stay at your very top of your game, and then the other spacewalks. Usually a spacewalk lasts about 7 hours to 7.5 hours, and so that's how long you're outside. So hopefully, Lord willing, if we don't have any other problems, we won't have any other planned spacewalks during our stay here.
Hi, I'm Arthur Hippolyte, and I'm an 8th grader at Johnston Middle School. And my question is for Shannon Walker. Shannon, how does your work help improve communication systems here on Earth?
You know, that's a very interesting question. I would think, today I can't think of a specific experiment that we've got going on right now directly in communications. Of course, throughout the history of the space program, we've developed everything. One of the main ones, of course, is satellite communications. So everything that uses satellite communications, which is a lot these days, came out of the space program. I know we've got an experiment coming up that will be looking at how to better track the ships in the sea, similarly to the way that we track airplanes going across our country. All the airplanes in the control centers know where all the airplanes are based on the radar tracking system, but we don't have the same kind of system for all the ships out in the sea, and so we're trying to develop a way to better track the ships so we can keep an eye on how they're progressing.
Hi Doug, hi Shannon. My name is Dave Wheat and I'm the principal of Johnston Middle School, and I'm coming to you live from the Johnston Middle School auditorium. Shannon, I'm sure you can visualize where we are right now asking these questions, and it's such a great thrill for me to get to participate in this, and a great thrill for our kids from Parker and Westbury High School in Johnston. I want you to know, my question is personal, that your yearbook pictures from your middle school years are on display in the library right now. What is your reaction to that?
Man, that's some bad fashion we got going on there. That's my reaction to that. No, I think it's great. I think it's very exciting that Parker, Johnston, and Westbury have all come together because, as you know, those are the schools I attended in HISD before I went on to Rice University and then started working at NASA. So I think it's great, and we're really excited to be able to talk to you guys today.
David, I'd like to see those pictures.
Doug, you're welcome at Johnston Middle School. Anytime, I'll keep them in a special place in my office. They'll be right there for you when you get to Houston. I also want you two to know, Doug and Shannon, that we are so grateful for you spending this time with us today. You have inspired a whole generation of Parker Lions and Johnston Greyhounds and Westbury Rebels to achieve their goals and achieve their dreams. We're going to sign off from Houston, so for now, goodbye from... Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's been great.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
And we're now resuming operational audio communications.